Good day, third year students. Today we will continue with the poem that we discussed in the previous video lecture, The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. In this session, we will do a detailed line by line explanation of the poem. So let us start. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours, we have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. So, in the very first line of the poem, Wordsworth expresses a very strong opinion, that is, the world is too much with us. By too much, he means there is too much of everything. And the world, by the world, he doesn't mean the natural world, he means the world of first industrial revolution, as Wordsworth was living through the first industrial revolution and he could see how people were investing their time and energy in business enterprises only to gain material benefits. And then he says, late and soon. By late, he means we have done this in the past and we are doing it in the present, and soon means that we will continue to do so in the future as well. In the next line he says, getting and spending. We lay waste our powers. Now what we are doing? We are getting and spending, and this has become essential activity of our day-to-day life, earning money and then spending it. And we are wasting our precious powers in this activity. This is the activity of consumerism. This is material world. He is speaking of materialism here. And then he says, little we see in nature that is ours, we have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. He says, we have collected so much money that we see nothing in nature that we can own. Nature is not ours. We do not feel connected to it. Nature is not anymore a part of our life. And then he says, we have given our hearts away. And it's like we have sold our soul. We have given our heart away, the center of our emotional life. We have given that away. And it's like we do not relate to the nature and there is a rift between humanity and nature. And then he says, a sordid boon. Now, what is the stage? What is the state of affairs? This is a sordid boon. Sordid means a dirty, low, disgusting thing. And a boon is a gift, a reward. So this is a term that we call in English literature oxymoron. It's a figure of speech, and two opposite terms are combined here, sordid and boon. A gift that is sordid, that is shameful, but people have given their hearts away for this blessing, for this corrupt blessing, only to gain material things, only to gain worldly things. Next he says, this sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. Now in the next two lines he presents a beautiful image of nature. He gives us two pictures of beautiful scenes out there in nature. First is this sea that bears her bosom to the moon. Now sea is personified as a woman who she is like opening herself to the moon. She is opening her chest. Bosom is a chest. Opening her chest to the moon, and the idea is the moonlight is falling freely over the surface of the sea, and the poet is imagining sea as a woman. The winds that will be howling at all hours and are up gathered now like sleeping flowers. Now, another image is of wind that keeps that are blowing with full force through daytime at all hours through the whole day, and they are blowing with full force, creating tumultuous sound. And but what is the stage? They are now like gathered up, they are like died down, they are very calm, and they are like sleeping where they are like sleeping, they are sleeping like flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. Wordsworth says, for this, for everything, yani for the sea or for the winds, we are out of tune. We have lost the tuning with nature. We do not feel connected to it. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn, so might I, standing on this pleasantly, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. So we have done the 8 lines until we are out of tune, and now there is a shift. This is the sestet part. There is a shift in the thought, and where he says, "It moves us not." It Wordsworth means to say that things in nature or beautiful sights of nature doesn't warm our heart. We do not feel it. We do not appreciate it, and he is very upset. He is very dejected to see this, and he says, "Great God." And this is a very strong expression, very shocking expression, and he calls out to God and says, "Great God, I'd rather be a pagan." Now Wordsworth makes a choice here, and he says he would rather be a pagan. Pagan is a nature worshipper, someone who worships nature, someone who adores nature. Suckled in a creed outworn. Suckled means breastfed or nursed. So that means he wishes to be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn, outdated, outfashioned. Creed means religion. So Wordsworth here wishes to be a pagan who is raised believing in some outdated religion, so he can have, so might I, so Wordsworth can have, standing on this pleasant lea. Lea is a meadow. So standing on that, he wishes to be standing on a pleasant meadow where he can have glimpses to have a quick view of beautiful sights, of beautiful meadows that would make me less forlorn. Forlorn means less sad, less dejected. He wishes to be in a place where he can connect with nature, and that will make him happy. He wishes to be born in a religion that is outdated, that is outfashioned. And what else does he wish to see? Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Proteus and Triton are two Greek mythological gods. Now he's giving us Greek references to Greek mythological gods. And when he would be raised in a ancient religion, he would see the sights of Proteus, who is rising from the sea. When he would have glimpses of great green meadows that would make him less lonely and less sad. And he would also see wild mythological gods like Proteus, who can take many shapes. Proteus is a sea god who can take many shapes, and or hear old Triton, or he can hear to Triton. Triton is another Greek god who is presented as having a horn. Horn is that we call in Hindi is shank, a conch shell. The Triton with his horn he has a power that can soothe the sea, the tumultuous sea waves. So he can have sights of Greek mythological gods like Proteus and Triton, and he would be happy to see them. And sea in those ancient religions was not just a bunch of water lying there. Sea was something divine, mystical, something luminous. And Wordsworth wishes to be born in those religions. So we have come to the end of the poem, and we saw in the poem how Wordsworth has stated his life philosophy of celebrated and treasuring nature. To conclude, we can say by writing this poem, Wordsworth sent out a beautiful message to everyone in his world around more than 200 years ago, but it can still be applied in life today. So students, I hope the poem is clear to you, and I'll see you in our next video lecture. Thank you.